Welcome everybody to the Reflections on the 12 Steps. Just a friendly announcement, this is not an AA meeting. This is just one member's view on the exact nature of the wrong as described on page 64 of the Big Book and the solutions contained within. This is not an all-share meeting, though shares there will be, but actually a question and answer meeting with Paul. I chose a reading today from the Big Book about step 11. It's on page 86. Middle of the page 86. Middle of the page starts with on awakening.
I think we all did that. Yes.
Good start.
We're on point right already. Yeah.
Okay, ready? On awakening, let us think about the 24
Stop
hours.
there. Let's not think so much. No, I'll let you go. Yeah. All right.
On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. Don't struggle. We're often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we're going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be, that we be given whatever we need to take care of such problems. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no requests for ourselves only. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. And I'll conclude it there. I'm especially interested in the intuition. So here we ask God for inspiration, intuitive thought, or a decision. You've spoken about downloads, and perhaps we can steer into that direction. So thank you.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone, or afternoon or evening. This is a segment where this is like the design for living a day at a time, especially in the beginning. So upon awakening and then before you go to sleep, they give you all these directions or suggestions. Probably will produce better effects than the way you follow through the day. So this is what happens. Now, maybe people can stick with this their whole life. I haven't done it. I don't do anything anymore, really. I think that's a pretty high form of spiritual maintenance. It's not doing anything. But I don't suggest that to anybody. I mean, you may find yourself there, and then maybe you'll make some incredible claims that will prove to be off, and that will be the way you face life successfully. So you learn from your mistakes. Yes. So, but let's start with upon awakening. Every one of us have completed that requirement. Yeah. Upon awakening. Let us think about the 24 hours ahead. So this is, remember, they're putting out a design for living. And this is basically the longest period of sobriety anyone that was involved with them had was 4 years. Yeah. So this was basically the directions of how to get to set up the design for living, and then let the effects of that design for living lead you later. Yeah, I feel. They don't have a plan when you're 30 years sober because they never were at that point. Yes. So maybe the 30-year thing would be still, yeah, do less harm. There you go. It could be much simpler because you're not fighting a strong headwind, hopefully, at this point. Like you've moved from the one gravitational pull of self, which would be trusting self, and you're in the jet stream of trusting something infinite. Yeah. How you travel through those two conditions is different, I feel. It's truly. So when you're when one condition is dominating you, the other gravitational field of self, there's a lot of doing, and it's best for those doings to turn into habits because habits are actions without thought. Yeah. So if you realize that the situation is the problem resides in the mind, you don't want the mind to have much to say about the solution, obviously. So if you do things like I'm in the habit of going to meetings, I don't think about going to a meeting, I think which one. Yeah. So the habits start galvanizing as you go along. And they're really guardrails, but you don't see the guardrails as much. Yeah. The GOD rails, because you're pretty much going straight and, forward, gaily forward and straight. Yeah. So this is my experience of 37 years of sobriety. So this is, uh, when if you're walking against a strong headwind, it's effort, yes. When you're walking with the wind, it isn't. So in the beginning, we're all walking against the wind, the wind of grace and recovery. We are, because the head is still in a dominant position, yeah. And so basically, when you're walking that way, the effects will be much different than when you're walking with the wind behind you, pushing you from the back. Yeah. But both are walking. Yeah. Both you're living, but now you're living in a way of traveling lighter than traveling heavy. Yeah. That's simple, I feel. So upon awakening, we think about the 24 hours ahead. Uh, I'm not a advocate for thinking or trying to change the thinking too much. I'm more of an advocate of seeing you're not the thinker. Yes. Because a lot of times, if you believe you're the thinker and the doer, these things sound like orders. And I haven't never done that well with orders in my life. And I usually would fail mostly trying to complete the order. Yeah. And so it didn't work. It just didn't. So when it says we consider our plans for the day, yes, I do that. Uh, Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking. I don't, because I feel my thinking is put into a subordinate position now. I don't, thinking isn't my GPS, literally. The GPS sets the course, and then there may be thinking about the nuts and bolts of it, but it's not playing, the voice on the GPS. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not following the directions of thought. I'm just not too much. Yeah. I'm just sharing, from my own situation. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be uh, divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. The exact nature of wrong is in two of those three descriptions: self-pity and self-seeking. Self. Yeah. When you lose interest in self, uh, how you deal with a life directed by self changes. Yeah, it just does. It's the easier, softer way, literally. Yeah. So my belief is a lot of what we think we're doing and thinking isn't really us. I think it's more mechanical. You have a space suit. I have a space suit. You call yours Martin. I call mine Paul. It gives it a sense of uniqueness. But if you're pretty much listening to the same radio station, yeah, me, yeah, and then it inserts the feeling of Paul or Martin, and then it's taken a little more seriously than if it was Steve or Chris's station. But they're the same unclear channel broadcasting the same shit, literally. And we are really in that category. We are. If we are in these meetings and we have confronted or been taken over by alcoholism and addiction, hey, listen, the dominant director in our lives has directed millions of people to irritable, to pitiful, incomprehensible, demoralized conditions. Yeah, you didn't go there yourself. You didn't choose it. Something drove you. Yeah, yes. This is the whole sense I have about what has defeated us, which they call self in AA. I see it as a foreign nature. So, and I think the thought system is infected a lot by self-centeredness. Yeah, because most of the time when we notice a thought, we think it's ours. That's the bondage of self, literally. Yeah, you want to know what the bondage of self is being identified with a lot of shit that you're not. Yeah. I like to see you think. Give it a shot. I like you to be in no think and then build a thought. Yeah. And then how long does it last? Maybe if you pay attention to it, a few seconds more. And then see how it's, do you plan for its disappearance or do you just notice it? Yeah. It's sort of like a bubble blows by you. You think you blew the bubble, but you didn't really. The bubble blows by you and then it pops with some meaning and then it moves on. But if it's held as my thought, then it orbits you, yes? The thoughts would be more like asteroids coming into our atmosphere and then burning out and going out. But the my of the thoughts produce like a ring of Saturn around us, yes? Yes. These are like where the old ideas reside, and then these same old thoughts are just circling us all day, and we can't see through. We see through them, but we can't see through them. Yes, yes. We should all be very familiar with this because we are specimens of an extreme obsession with self. Therefore, the mind has been very, very, very potent in our lives. And we're aware of thoughts, I would imagine, because that's what used to direct us to the bottom. Yeah. And now I hope you see thoughts in a different light. Yes. You don't want to follow them as a light. They're not going to, that light can be directed by a lot of stuff. I like to see them in the light. Yeah. And then maybe you'll see they're not yours. The first sleep I had in recovery about this, and there was a couple of leaps. The first one was when I sat religiously in meetings for the first couple of months. I came in, and in the meeting, I felt something I didn't feel when I was running around out there, which was a sense of terminal uniqueness. It was like, at a meeting, I felt a cocoon that was covering me. When I was running around like crazy, I didn't. But I felt this cocoon, and I really was marinating in this idea that these were all my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions, and no one had done the shit I did or think the stuff I think. Yes, I was marinating in that for a long, long time, sitting at meetings. And lo and behold, what happens? People share their thoughts, their feelings, and their reactions to life. Yes. And after a while, because as it said, up on awakening, you're going to be in a state of on awakening quite a lot, not just the morning awake. If you're sober, you're going to be in a state of on awakening a lot. You're going to wake up to a lot of shit that was keeping you asleep, literally, all day. So I was sitting there at the meetings, and honestly, I just said, I would listen to people and I came to two conclusions. How did these people get my thoughts? Or they're not my thoughts? Wow, that was such a novel idea that they were not my thoughts. And it triggered something because I was correct. I won the lottery. It being what? I usually would think I hear a police siren and get arrested. This was like a bing, and wow, these are not my thoughts and my feelings because everyone seems to have them. Yes, fucking great. So I suddenly a huge amount of my experience was categorized as an alcoholic experience, and I got some space. Yeah, the thing that was, if something was on you that was transparent, you wouldn't know it. Yeah, if you had like five sheets of saran wrap and you don't remember ever not having 5 sheets of saran wrap, you would take that to be you. Yeah. So here was this idea of my feelings, my thoughts, my actions. Then they're not my thoughts, feelings, reactions. Holy cow. So I awoke not as that, but from it. Yeah. I awoke from the shit that I was believing. So finally, a large swath of all the interpretation of the day could be called alcoholic. Yeah. An alcoholic view of life. And then I started seeing with that it's actually foreign to me and foreign to you, because the same thing has taken all of us different things over. Yeah. You don't have a unique alcoholism. You don't. Yeah. You don't have a private alcoholism. It's shared. It is shared. Yeah. So isn't that incredible? That's a huge recognition. Seriously. It has you in a cocoon of self-importance, and you're choked in there. And then it just gives you a little oxygen and a little this and a little that to keep you fucking alive. But basically, you're like in a vertical coffin, usually. Yeah. And then when you see yourself, you see a lot of yourselves on the street. Yeah. I could know a person, I could know what drug they did because I did this certain drug from a mile away. I would know that guy's a cocaine addict immediately. Yes. I could recognize it. Yeah. Because I was coming out of there. Yeah. So this stuff started to blow my mind. So on awakening, let's just say everything now can occur on awakening. Yeah. Isn't that what the steps do? After having a spiritual awakening. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here we are. So, divorced from, this is beautiful here. Before we begin to ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity. I like these words they use sometimes, like abject and divorced. Yeah. So something has broken up the relationship. Yeah. Yeah. You have been, your thought system has been divorced. I would just see the thoughts as not yours. I don't think you're going to direct thoughts well. And if you maybe ask the higher power to direct it, but they're still cats. Yeah. Yeah. Now, you may be able to herd a cat for a little while, but it's not going to work as a daily thing. Yeah. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. Yes. Of course, when you come in, you can't see what is and what ain't. So I didn't trust myself as far as I could throw me. I mean, I did not see any difference. And the faith that I represented had been surrounded with a doubt after the whacking I got from having faith in finite self. Yeah. I was doubting even the faith. That was crazy. It was just put in the wrong vehicle. And the program is going to correct that and divorce you from the finite self and marry you to the infinite. Yeah. With no alimony or charges with the, yeah. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties. So I wouldn't pull this off the first few months, but now, yes. My mental state is more in the servant role than the master role. And that was really the main correction that was necessary. Yeah. Yeah. You know, these things that they suggest come to pass. Yeah, you're going to be free from the bondage of self. and the problem will not exist for you today. It's freaking awesome. And you'll be put in a position of neutrality with no thought effort on your part. This isn't wild imagining. This is an observation of an effect, doing the same thing that we're doing in the process of recovery. Yeah. So our our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane, yeah, when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. I think the higher plane of thinking is preceded by they're not your thoughts. Yeah. Then they can be moved and put to a different purpose. But if you're trying to change the thoughts, but you hold on to the idea they're always yours, that's the bondage. Yeah. That's not going to work. Yeah. It's not going to work. You may get you may be lifted out of some level, but there's still going to be a bonding activity with the thoughts. Yeah. Yeah. But if you see they're not yours, I feel that things work a lot better. I mean, you don't think you're the digester of your food, do you? Do you have to, uh, have a list of what you ate yesterday and get around to digesting them today? I mean, you can put it off for a little while, but yeah. So obviously, no, people don't believe they're pumping the blood in the body or the beating the heart or digesting food, but then they believe that they're the doer of a very subtle process called thoughts. It's just mind-boggling. Yeah. This world is really a value of things over nothing. It is. Yeah. Remember how long it took for the armies to believe someone who got shell shocked had a problem? They always saw the problem of the body, but very rarely the problem of the head. Yes? Yeah. It's like trying to learn going uphill. It's crazy. Why not have the hierarchy in the correct position? No thing, and then thing, not thing, and then no thing. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, in thinking about a day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Of course, I use this quite a lot in the beginning. Yeah. Here we ask God for inspiration, which I did, an intuitive thought or a decision. Yes. An intuitive thought, obviously, uh, for me, it was different than the stream of thoughts, and it had more like a lightning bolt effect. It was very whack, yeah? So there was the normal thoughts going on, and suddenly there was a different kind of thought, and it suddenly came in and interrupted the stream of thoughts that seems familiar, yeah? That to me was like an intuitive thought. And that intuitive thought is you got to play the hunch. So it's an intuitive thought, but you got to get into the habit of playing the hunch of the intuitive thought because that whole system of direction is being upgraded. You're getting an upgrade from the mental thinking, the familiarity of it, to an intuitive, uh, like almost like a vertical thinking than a horizontal thinking. Yeah. So the vertical thinking interrupts the horizontal thought line and then an intuitive thought. It's like a shock, like a lightning bolt. But that what needs to be done is to follow the hunch because this is going to teach you, uh, and you'll lean into the process of losing trust in finite self and gaining trust in the infinite by following these intuitive hunches. Yeah. The intuitive thoughts, because the feeling of them are different than the normal thought, don't you? Yes. Yeah. And then the weirdest thing here is, like when you buy a certain car, then you see it all over the road. Yes. So when you start noticing this stuff, there's going to be more of the intuitive thought. You know, we have an amazing, we're amazing things in a sense. You get really, you never see, let's say, an Isuzu Trooper, and then you get an Isuzu Trooper, and then you're starting to see them all. You think they just suddenly dropped a lot of Isuzu Troopers in your area? No. You're, you're interested in an Isuzu Trooper, and now you see it. Be interested in the intuitive thoughts, and you're going to get more. Yes? And how you can talk about being interested, but the real proof is you follow it. You follow the hunch. And I'm telling you, it's going to start upgrading the whole thought system. You need direction. We're cars. We need to be driven. Yes? The thought system of self-centeredness is a bogus thought system. It's not a very good director. Yeah. But there are other ways of being directed that will come through the space of where the thoughts used to occupy. Yeah. Like a hunch and an intuitive thought or a sense, or you'll start feeling things energetically like, wow, I don't think I should go this way. Yes. All these things. Yes, it's still another form of being directed. It's just a higher form. Yeah. You don't want you don't it doesn't get absorbed in the thought system. It interrupts the thought system. Yes, it doesn't become a really good thought amongst all the bad thoughts. It becomes a different species of direction, I feel. Yeah. So now you just feel more, and I don't mean feel like touching a stone. You feel more about stuff than you think about it. Yeah. 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 So intuitive thought, you notice it, you're going to have more intuitive thoughts. Intuitive thought, you just keep diving into the thought stream with the head, you'll forget it in a second. Yeah. And up to a point, I think some people are living bereft of intuitive thought. Not that there aren't intuitive thoughts, they're just not being noticed at all. Yeah. As soon as they enter the thought system, they get drowned, so to speak. And you just keep on doing this. In that abject faith in the thought system, you're in a spiritless servility to the thoughts. Yeah. So the intuitive hunch and the sense of energetic thing, you're not picking it up. You're just not. Yeah. It's scary because people that are directed can be directed. Yeah. It can become dangerous, on a mass level. Yeah. If you're so easily directed by thought, other people's thoughts can direct you. Yes. So, see, they talk about critical thinking, but I would be critical of thought, first of all. Yeah. Critical thinking is good, but I'd much rather be critical of thought first. Make sure, are they yours or not? Yeah. If not, you're being directed by alcoholism. Yeah. Now it's the sober version of alcoholism, which is a lot different than the active version, but it's still a form of bondage of self. Don't fool yourself. Yeah, it is. It's like the easier, softer authoritarianism, but you're still under something's direction. Yeah, don't you see it? Yeah. Self adapts to recovery, the disease. It does. And then it just hopes, and it has it can wait a while, and it just hopes one day it's going to lead you back to act out. And it does for many of us. Yeah. And then it takes over, and then it tries to make hay while the making's good. And some people jackpot their whole life in that first weekend after they went out. Some people I knew, many of them, who were fucking good addicts. I mean, I saw them out there injecting and everything, and they got sober, and then they went out and they died the first weekend they were out. And it wasn't a rare thing. It's been a familiar scenario I've watched. Yeah. These people were expert at shooting drugs. They were. I'd seen them for years. And then they're just dead like the first weekend. They overdose. And now someone just did it here. That fentanyl is in so much shit that people, it always made me weird that like when AIDS hit, people did all this stuff before the AIDS hit. And then they seem to get punished for shit that, well, This happens also. People thinking they're doing coke and it has fentanyl in it and they're dead. Yeah. How are you going to say they made a choice to do that? They didn't make a choice. They didn't make a choice, period. But in the mental level, they thought they made a choice to do cocaine. They didn't, they didn't make the choice to do the fentanyl. Someone put it in there because it's cheaper than the coke. Yes, isn't that insane? So yeah, like if you were a little puppy and there was the mother's teats, go to the one where you're getting the hunch and the intuitive thought. Yeah. Let me turn this off. Yeah. Go to that one that has the intuitive thought and the hunch and everything. Yeah. Suck on it and fucking there's gonna be more of you. Yeah. Yeah. If you were with the other 8 puppies and 7 of them sucked the tit of self, they're probably all dead now. You're the one that followed the intuitive hunch. So, yeah. All right. Let me go get to that. If anyone wants to say something, jump in. If not, I'm going to keep reading. Uh, where were we?
We have a question from Linda Marie.
All right.
Hi, thank you so much for this morning. Originally when I had used that page, it was like it was a source. I had gotten kind of like into visualizations, right? So I used that page as a source of way how I would visualize my day instead of the horrible boss and the cantankerous coworkers and the terrible customers and the drudgery of a long agonizing day, and then of course at the end of my day I'm going to drink it away. When I heard about that page the first time, I started visualizing a rapport with my employer, a gracious gratitude with my customers. All of a sudden, I'm sort of kind of getting along with the horrible coworkers. And then, I'm eating well. I'm visualizing these things, right? Because it says to think when you're thinking about your day. So visualizing going to meetings. And today I visualize staying present, staying in the now. However, I'm backing up a little bit because I'm like, okay, if I get up in the morning and I'm visualizing my day, I'm not exactly staying present, staying in the now. Staying present, staying in the now is faith in action as far as I'm concerned today. Anyway, my question is, so when I first got here and I'm visualizing my day, would that be considered an intuitive thought?
Well, I don't know. You may consider it as one. Who knows? I don't think there is a brand of thought called intuitive thoughts. I think it has a lot to do with what you reacted to it as. Yes. In other words, I think you make whatever the thought is instead of what you believe the thought is making you. Yeah. Yeah. The idea first, though, one thing, uh, you're present no matter what, and then in the present moment you may be thinking about the rest of your day. That doesn't mean you're not present. You're just present thinking about the rest of your day. The present is a fact. Yeah, we're all present all day. Yeah, the head tells us a lot of lies, so it says you have the ability not to be present. I don't believe that. I do not. The head may believe it, but I don't think if you had a video day of your day, you were in every shot of the video. Yeah. When you were feeling totally disconnected, you were there. When you were feeling you were super close to God, you were there. Yeah, you don't move at all, literally. The head moves all over the place. You lose interest in all this. I'm telling you, they sold a lot of books based on the idea that you're out of the moment. They did. I do not believe you have ever been out of any moment. I don't. I do not believe there's a movie without the audience. We're the audience. We are the projector of the movie, and then we observe the movie as if it's real. Yes, so we're completely essential for this event to occur. Every freaking moment of it. So I think the head has sold us a lot of bogus shit. And to me, its greatest prison is wanting to escape from an imaginary one. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we take ourselves to be somewhere that we're not, and then we try to escape from there. And that's the real fucking prison. The constant search to escape from someplace we're actually not. Yeah. Yeah. This is all from observation. I've watched it in my own life. I don't think your head and my head is that different, literally. Yeah. So the biggest in the head is the desire to get out. The head has you completely in all the seeking to get out of where it says you are. Yeah. Yeah. And it has you bound as a seeker. The seeking becomes an addiction,
Oh, that's very good.
just like drug addiction. I saw spiritual addiction when I went to groups outside of AA. And then you can recognize the same parasite. It's just wearing a different, it's like a different sheep clothing, but it's the same wolf. Yes? Yeah. This is organic 100% New Zealand sheep wool, but it's still a wolf. Yeah. So I didn't know what was going on. I just found out a lot by watching and observing. Yeah. Yeah, I woke up and then I wake up a lot after, but the first thing on awakening. Yeah, see, I believe we're awake completely. Now, are we awake completely here? No, but we are awake. And that awakeness is an unchangeable condition because it's before all these other conditions that we think have so much importance. And there's a great place for the Son of Man to rest its head in the fact that you are of a spiritual nature instead of physical and a mental one. It's really quite relieving. And it's true, I feel. See, that's the beauty of it. You've taken so many chances, but sometimes you've hit the money. You have. And I humbly believe uh, the solution in AA it's a spiritual one, and I believe we're spirit. So hallelujah. We're totally aligned with the solution of AA. The solution of AA, it's a spiritual solution. And all right, and we're of spirit. Hallelujah. Where does the problem reside? In the mental physical. Wow, that's not a spiritual solution. No. Does it give me a lot of solutions? Yes. Are they spiritual solutions? No. An intuitive thought, that's coming from spirit, I'd say. A hunch, that can be coming from spirit. A sense of something in your gut, I would say that could be spirit. And so now you're awake to your own contact with being awake, and you learn a lot. Yeah. And you see how you have been defeated. It's described very clearly in AA. You have been defeated by the manifestations of self in one's life. Yeah. How does it have carte blanche entrance and exit in my life? Well, it has convinced me that I'm it. Yeah. So it describes itself in the mental state and says its description is my description. Not knowing any better, I take it upon myself and then I try to live with this incredibly fucked up description of me, and I try to do the best I can. And when I change what it said you should change, it just makes up something else I'm supposed to change. Yeah. And it's just I'm bonded to the idea because I take it to be me. If I see it as not me, I can be free from it. That's been my experience here. Yeah. But it's very important to be clear and have the exact nature of the wrong. And I'm humbly saying it, the exact nature of the wrong is of a mental variety. Yes. Yeah. In the mental state, you can hate yourself. You can, because it sees you as two things. It sees you as the object and the subject. And a lot of times the object gets a lot of hate from the subject self. It does. Because it doesn't measure up to what the self would like itself to be. And it blames you as the object. Fucking, it's like a hell. Yeah. So you recognize the problem resides in the mind, but this you reside as a spirit, literally. You do. And that's the ace in the deck that we've been missing. You're not going to win in the deck when only the value of the cards are physical and mental. The mental will always beat the physical. You can get in great physical help and you're still fucked up. You can. I've seen people 12-hour yoga, 3 weeks in Bali, and they're drunk the next, whatever, 22nd day. Yeah. We have tried to change the physical, to change the mental. It doesn't fucking work much. The mental overrides it usually. Yes, you have tons of circumstances, you have a lot of money, you're still flipped out. You think it's not enough. The mental overrides your outer circumstances. Yes or no, it does. We've been playing with a fucked up hand or deck. And so AA points out the unsuspected inner resource in this deck, which are the aces, and the aces are of spirit. And now we can, by recognizing the ace will trump the fucking mental highest card. Yeah, it will. This is why it's said there's no human power is going to help us. Exactly. Because the human power is really an expression of non-recognizing the spiritual nature of ourselves. Yes? We start as a body, most of us. It's hard for a body to become spiritual for one big reason. It's a body. A thing wants to be a no thing, but wants to still hold on to its nature of being a thing. It doesn't work. Yeah. You can look spiritual. You can have blue eyes and loving gazes. Yeah, you can look, the head will mimic what it thinks spirituality looks like. And it always contains a body. Yeah, yeah. The whole point of AA is to lose interest in self. And they realize that self cannot do that. So how do you lose interest in self? You follow our way of life, hopefully with a good diagnosis of the exact nature of the wrong, see that which has defeated you as foreign to you, and then you have the possibility of actually living free from it, not as it or with it, but from it. Yeah. And there you go. And more gets revealed completely every day. Every day, more gets revealed when you've gotten clear about the exact nature of the problem and also the exact nature of the solution. Exact nature of the problem, it's foreign to us. Exact nature of the solution, it is us. Yeah. We are not becoming spiritual. We are spirit. Humbly, I would feel that. Yeah. Yeah. This is all about, we're going to be driven. We're going to be directed. Your life is going to look it's going to be what it is based on what's driving you. Yeah. If you're driven by the finite self, it's described as any life run on self-will hardly be a success. If you're driven by the infinite, it could be fucking pretty cool. And you'll be useful to yourself and others. And it's not at the expense of enjoying yourself. You'll be able to enjoy everything. It becomes a win-win situation. Yes? Yes? Yeah. But I feel if you believe that you did all that stuff while you were under the influence, it's going to be very hard to get to a condition of not regretting the past nor shutting the door on it. Your knee-jerk mental reaction is going to shut the door on it. and regret it. Yes, because you are sentenced to the conviction because you still believe you did all that stuff while under the influence. I do not believe that. I don't. I do not believe Paul made a choice, but I do believe Paul was the emblem on the top of the hood of that which was driven. Yes? So I do not believe Paul was the driver. I'm very clear that Paul is an emblem on that which was driven. Yes? Like a Ford or a Chevy. You know, if we really wanted to stay true to this, we would have meetings at car parking lots. So we could, all of our things that have been driven would sit down and we would talk about the driver with a clear recognition that we're the driven, and there would be really super clarity concerning our situation. It would. Go to jail, you just see all the cars in there. Yeah. You see all the people that were like cars that were driven to situations that put them in jail. Yeah. Yes. The real culprit, scot-free, running around, infecting someone else. Yeah. Giving the same thoughts that sent Marvin to jail to Stephen. Yeah. Yeah. It plays the long game too sometimes. Yeah. It allows you to think that things are going to get better, and then wow, gives the big whack.
So what is that?
It's just a mental activity that think that it outgrew its purpose. Yeah. It's like HAL in 2001, the computer that was supposed to assist the thing has taken over the thing. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, anything can happen in time. So the most beautiful thing could mutate into an ugly ogre in time. Haven't you noticed certain people that you knew in the past, you thought they were great, and then you hear the history of what they've been doing, and then on and on. Time is a fucking magic pill. Yes. You put time into shit, things can mutate and grow into weird things. There were some great masters in spirituality that ended up in terrible they were just sniffing nitrous oxide and fucking just crazy shit. Yet all this incredible stuff came through them when they were being driven by this spirit, and then something else got in and drove them, and it was a little weird. Yeah. And then usually they do the same fucking things: sex, power, and money. I mean, you feel like, hey, why don't you do something unusual to fool us, like humility? Why is it the same fucking pattern all the time? It's weird. Yes? Because this head is mutating. Look at what's happened now. The head as a Narcissus has found a mobile pond with technology. Everyone is looking at screens all day. In time, that wasn't here a while ago. It's mutating, and the absorption in self is mutating.
Mhm.
It is not real, but it's a dream. But here, if something grows a little bit off, you give it 50 years, it's way off. Yes? Yes. So these ideas are percolating and they're going off. Yeah. Now I saw this video, blew my mind. They had a bus, and young lady was sitting in the first seats in the bus, and the camera was above where the driver was. And she was like young, 18 or whatever. She had her phone, was on her phone. And then the bus started flipping over. And you could see her. She started making 360s, and she was holding on to the phone like it was her lifesaver, like her life preserver. And she was so insane. It's insane. Yeah. So the head is mutating in its own little way. And uh, that's what it's like. Yeah. Just like if you had ivy on your wall and then it just keeps growing and then you don't even see the wall anymore. Yes. The wall gives it the basis to grab onto, but now it's taken over you don't see the wall anymore. You see ivy. Yes. Yes. So look at what's happened now. And if you want to see this as a movie, recovery is a business now in a lot of levels. There are so many rehabs and sober living places. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. We didn't have that long time ago. We had a place in San Francisco called Ozanam. You would bring someone there, knock on the door, and if they were sufficiently drunk or loaded, they'd take them in. And there was a beds, mattresses all on the first floor. And while they were in there, if they showed any interest, they could go upstairs for 3 days, and the people up there would help them find a place to go. Yeah. There wasn't all these other things. It was pretty much that was the lowest rung in San Francisco, this place. I don't know what it's called, but it was on Howard Street. And then, yes, and then you go to a shelter or something like that. Yeah. Then this thing exploded. There's so many rehabs and sober living places and shit like that. Yes. And uh, everything because of this dream has has side effects. So now a lot of people are pushed into recovery who have no interest in it. It was someone else's interest, like their parents. Yes, and it's becoming a whole other thing. Yes, so this is what happens. Here things don't stay the same. They don't. The spirit does, but what's going on doesn't. It grows. Yeah. And so the obsession is growing and it's actually fucking making technology to assist itself more and more. How much, I mean, we have my friend, I'm going off, but I've gone so far already. So we have two young girls, my girlfriend's kids. I swear to God, the mirror is tired of reflecting in the bathroom. They're in the bathroom like I don't know what they're doing. It's a mind-boggling. I would imagine the mirror, if I came in, would say no mas. I've had enough. Yeah. This is what's going on. Do you see this? The thing is so afraid it's reinforcing this premise because it knows it doesn't have any fucking legs to stand on. It's all manufactured in the head. Yeah. So it has to constantly keep reinforcing like having a reflection of yourself all day. Wow, it's crazy. So, yes, the real antidote to this whole situation is loss of interest in self. This mental idea of you that has been given life and constantly gets blown into to keep that fucking blow up doll keeping a certain shape, you know? If you just lose interest in it, the air comes out of it. Yeah. You have to keep blowing it up all day. This is the real bondage of self. It's like they captured it in the Matrix where the humans were actually living they were just out cold in a little tube and the head or whatever was just sucking out their energy to continue the programming. Yes. So, and they just made up what they thought the hosts would want to see. And so people were in a dreaming all the while being sucked every second of their juice. It doesn't sound that far from what's going on, does it? No. So, all right. Thank you for allowing me that. Sorry, I could go off, but yeah, yeah. All right. Anyone?
I
I
don't
think
see any hands up. Yeah.
I think, no, if not, I got to get going soon. Sorry, I hogged the whole place today. But, and this was just about the appearance of things, yes? You have to realize we're in a subjective experience. This is not a real place. Yeah. We agree on some stuff as an objective reality, but even if you go to the same place I go, you're going to have a different experience of it. Yes, probably. Because this is a subjective event. And the head, if it's in this fucking self-obsession, myopic view, wow. Yeah. All right. Well, okay, Linda Marie. Nice to see you. Yes. Martin, as always, thank you for all the help. Kathy, yes. This isn't about fighting anything. It's by recognizing most of it isn't you. Truly. Yeah. You're not going to find yourself here. You've never left. What you are has never left to be found. It hasn't. You are what you're looking for right now, as St. Francis says. What's looking is what you're looking for. Exactly. Not who's looking, what's looking. Yeah, what's looking is what we would call spirit. Who's looking is called me, pictured as a body. Yes? Yeah. All right. Kathy, Cleveland, fantastic. Al, Vegas. Always a pleasure, Al. John in Florida. Mr. Rowe in Toronto. Brian C. Rico Cruz, a man of his word. Axel, Alex, Roman Mueller, my friend in Germany. Michael Stacy. Walter, Maro, Brian, Diane R., Joseph C. in France. Chris in Lexington. Sean. I think I can't get to the other page, but hey, thank you so much for the day. There is a solution, hey? And remember, Rule 62 is applied here. Don't take yourself so seriously. That's it. You want to not take yourself so seriously? See yourself as not a self. That's the way to do it. That CNN documentary or found footage movie will become a comedy when it's not you. Yes. Yeah. All right. Miss Volkman, she's here too. Oh, it's nice to see you, Miss Volkman. So everyone, we're here at 4:30 today, Pacific time, on another topic that we can really put on our running shoes. Wow. The marathon runner will blast out of the closet. Woo! All right, thank you. All right, see you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
buddy. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank
for
you,
your love
Paul.
and
Thank
service.
you, guys.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Martin.
See you guys next week.